There's something most men never do, not because they can't, but because no one ever told them it mattered. It's not about saying the right words. It's not about being funny or tall or rich. It's not about texting at the right time or playing some game she'll see through anyway. It's quieter than that. And when a man does it, really does it, something shifts in her, something she doesn't even fully understand. She feels it in her chest, a softness, a kind of safety she wasn't expecting. And in that moment, without logic, without reason, she starts to trust him. Not because he asked her to, but because he showed her something rare. Most men will never learn this, not because it's hidden, but because they're too busy doing the opposite. They're trying to impress, trying to prove, trying to win her over with effort and words and constant presence. And none of it works. Because women don't fall for effort. They fall for something else. Something you're about to understand, if you stay with me. Here's why this matters more than anything else you've heard about attraction. Most dating advice teaches you to perform, to say the right thing at the right moment, to mimic confidence, to time your texts, to push and pull like you're playing chess with someone's emotions, but that's not how women experience connection. Women don't decide to feel attraction. They don't choose it like picking a shirt. It happens to them, in moments, in glances, in the silences between words. And what triggers it has almost nothing to do with what you say. It has everything to do with how she feels around you. This is where most men lose, because they think attraction is a result, something you build, something you earn by doing enough, giving enough, showing up enough. But attraction isn't built like that. It's felt. And here's what no one tells you. The gestures that make a woman feel the deepest are often the smallest. Not grand romantic displays, not the over-the-top effort, but something subtle, controlled, intentional. Something that says, without words, I see you, not to get something, just because I choose to. That's what melts her. And almost no man does it, because almost no man understands it. Let me explain the psychology. Women are wired to detect emotional safety, not physical safety, emotional. This goes back thousands of years. A woman had to know, very quickly, whether a man was stable, whether he could stay calm under pressure, whether he was reactive or grounded, because her survival depended on it. Now, we don't live in those times anymore, but her nervous system still works the same way. She's always reading you, not your words, your energy. She's looking for signs that you're emotionally steady, that you're not going to crumble the moment things get hard, that your sense of self doesn't depend on her approval. When she finds that, she relaxes. And when she relaxes, she opens. That's when attraction starts to root itself deeper, not in excitement, but in trust. This is why the flashy guys lose. The ones who try to impress. The ones who brag or show off or constantly seek validation through her reactions. They might get attention, but not depth. Because a woman knows, if you're performing, you're not present. And presence is everything. Now here's the gesture. It's not complicated, but it's powerful. It's this, holding space. Without needing to fix, react, or fill the silence. That's it. When she shares something vulnerable, you don't rush to respond. You don't try to solve her problem. You don't shift the focus back to yourself. You stay, calmly, fully. You let the moment breathe. Most men are terrified of this. They think silence is awkward. They think if they're not talking, they're failing. But the opposite is true. When you hold space without flinching, something changes in her. She feels heard, but not smothered. She feels seen, but not judged. And most importantly, she feels safe, because you didn't make the moment about you. This is the gesture. Not a gift, not a compliment, not a date or a grand speech, just presence. Real, grounded, quiet presence. And it's the one thing almost no man offers, because almost no man has been taught that stillness is strength. When a man holds space like this, real, quiet, grounded presence, a woman doesn't announce what she feels. She doesn't say, I feel safe with you. She doesn't send a paragraph explaining how different you are. No, she shows you. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it entirely. Because the signs are subtle. They're not loud. They're not obvious. They don't come wrapped in clear words or dramatic gestures. They come in shifts. Small, quiet changes in how she behaves around you. Changes most men overlook because they're waiting for something bigger. But these shifts, these are everything. They are the emotional fingerprints of a woman who is starting to trust you, starting to feel something she didn't plan on feeling. And once you learn to read them, you'll never misread a woman again. The first shift is mirroring. She starts matching your energy, your pace, your tone. If you speak slowly, she slows down. If you lean back, she leans back. If you pause before answering, she starts doing the same. This isn't conscious, she's not thinking about it. It's her nervous system syncing with yours. It means one thing. She feels safe enough to fall into your rhythm. Most men never notice this because they're too focused on what she's saying, but how she moves around you tells a far deeper story than her words ever will. When a woman mirrors you, it means her walls are softening. Not because you pushed through them, because you gave her no reason to keep them up. The second shift is the guard drop. She starts showing you the version of herself she hides from the world. Maybe it's a weird laugh she usually holds back. Maybe it's an opinion she wouldn't share with anyone else. Maybe it's the messy side, the anxious side, the uncertain side. She's not trying to impress you anymore. She's trying to be real with you. This is one of the most important signs a woman can give, because women are trained from a young age to perform, to be pleasant, to manage how they're perceived. When she drops that with you, it means she trusts your stillness. She trusts that you won't judge her. She trusts that you can handle the real version of who she is. And that kind of trust, you can't fake your way into it. You either hold space for it, or you don't. The third shift is protection, not physical protection, emotional. She starts protecting your image, your name, your reputation. If someone speaks poorly about you, she pushes back, quietly maybe, but firmly. She doesn't let people reduce you. She doesn't laugh along when someone takes a shot at you. This shift means she's emotionally invested, not in the relationship, in you. She's started to see your value, not because you proved it, but because you carried yourself in a way that made her feel it. And once a woman decides to protect a man's name, she's already deeper than most people realize. The fourth shift is proximity, not just physical closeness, emotional proximity. She starts finding reasons to be near you, not dramatic, not obvious. She texts you something small that didn't need to be sent. She mentions something that reminded her of you. She brings up a moment you shared, weeks later, like it's been living in her mind. She's not chasing you. She's orbiting. There's a difference. Chasing is desperate. Orbiting is intentional. She wants your presence, not your attention, not your validation, your presence. And that distinction matters more than most men understand. The fifth shift is silence. Yes, silence. When a woman becomes comfortable being quiet with you, not awkward, not tense, just still, it means she's no longer performing. She's not trying to fill the space with noise. She's not worried that silence means disconnection. She's sitting in it with you, and she feels safe there. This is rare. Most people can't do this. Not with friends, not with family. When she can do it with you, she's telling you something without words. She's saying, I don't need you to entertain me. I just need you to be here. The sixth shift is emotional alignment. She starts caring about what bothers you, what excites you, what keeps you up at night. Not because she's being polite, but because your inner world has started to matter to her. She remembers things you said once. She asks about things you didn't expect her to notice. She's paying attention because she's emotionally invested. An emotional investment from a woman is never given lightly. It's earned, slowly, through consistency and calm and presence. The seventh shift is nurturing. She starts doing things for you, without being asked. Small things, a message to check in, a reminder to eat, a note that says she's thinking about you. This is not submission. This is not obligation. This is care, and care from a woman who trusts you. That's one of the purest things you'll ever receive. It means she's chosen you, not because you chased, not because you performed, because you were still, and real, and safe. Now I want to talk to the man who did the opposite, the man who gave everything, who showed up every time, who responded instantly, who made her the center of his world, and still lost her. I know you're out there, and I know how much that hurt, because you didn't do anything wrong, at least not in the way the world defines wrong. You cared, you tried, you made effort, and somehow, that wasn't enough. She pulled away, she got distant, she stopped texting the way she used to, she stopped lighting up when you walked in. And the worst part, you don't know why. You replayed every conversation, you analyzed every text, You asked yourself 1,000 times what you could have done differently, and you still don't have an answer. Let me give you one, not to hurt you, but to free you. You lost frame, not because you were weak, not because you were less than, but because you made her your emotional center, and she felt it. Women don't want to be the source of your stability. They want to feel invited into a life that's already stable. When you made her the focus of everything, your mood, your energy, your sense of worth, she didn't feel loved. She felt pressure, because now your happiness depended on her response. Your peace depended on her presence. Your confidence depended on her approval. And that weight, no one wants to carry it. Not because she's cold, because it's too much. And here's what makes this harder. You weren't manipulating. You weren't playing games. You were being genuine. But genuine without grounding becomes overwhelming. Love without boundaries becomes pressure. Attention without self-respect becomes suffocation. Not because your feelings were wrong, but because the structure was missing. You gave from an empty place, and she couldn't fill it. No woman can. That's not a flaw in her. That's a gap in you that only you can close. I'm not saying this to blame you. I'm saying this because I want you to stop blaming yourself for the wrong thing. You didn't fail because you weren't good enough. You didn't fail because she was heartless. You failed because you abandoned your center, and she noticed. Women don't leave men who love them. They leave men who lose themselves in the process of loving. That's the difference. And once you understand that, you stop being confused. You stop being angry. You stop cycling through the same patterns. You start standing still. And this is where the real shift begins. Not in her, in you. Because when you stop chasing, not as a tactic, not as a game, but because you genuinely choose yourself, something changes. You stop looking for signals. You stop reading into every text. You stop building your day around someone else's attention, and a strange thing happens. You become magnetic, not because you're doing something, but because you've stopped doing everything. Stillness creates curiosity. Composure creates attraction. Emotional independence creates desire. Not the loud kind, not the desperate kind, the deep kind. The kind that sits in her chest at night when she's alone with her thoughts. That kind of desire can't be manufactured. It can only be inspired by a man who is whole without her. This is not about playing hard to get. That's a game. And games have expiration dates. This is about being hard to shake, being the man who doesn't crumble when she goes quiet, who doesn't spiral when she pulls back, who doesn't beg when the energy shifts. Not because he doesn't care, but because his sense of self isn't built on her. That's the difference between strategy and identity. Strategy is what you do. Identity is who you are. And women, the right women, don't fall in love with strategies. They fall in love with identity. With a man who knows who he is, what he stands for, what he won't tolerate, and what he doesn't need from anyone. This is the part most men skip. They want the result without the reconstruction. They want her to come back, without becoming the kind of man worth coming back to. And that's why the cycle repeats. Different woman, same pattern, same collapse, because the variable that never changes is you, not your effort, not your love, not your words, your foundation, your emotional center, your frame. Fix that, and you don't need to chase anyone. You don't need to decode signals or manufacture mystery. You just need to stand in who you are, calmly, clearly, fully. And the right woman won't just notice. She'll stay. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you chose yourself without guilt? Not out of spite, not to prove a point, not because someone told you to, but because you looked at your own life and said, "This matters. I matter." And I'm done waiting for someone else to confirm that. Most men have never done this, not once, because somewhere along the way they were taught that their value comes from what they provide, what they sacrifice, what they endure for others. And so, they keep giving, keep proving, keep showing up for people who never ask them how they're doing, and they call it strength. But it's not. It's abandonment, self-abandonment, and it's the most common wound men carry, the one they don't even know is there. This is why the gesture I talked about earlier is so powerful, holding space, being present, offering stillness instead of performance. It's not just something you give to her. It's something you give to yourself first, because you can't hold space for someone else if you've never held it for yourself. You can't be calm in her storm if you can't be calm in your own. You can't offer emotional safety if your own emotions make you unsafe. It starts with you. Everything starts with you. And I don't mean that in some self-help, surface-level way. I mean it in the most honest, uncomfortable way possible. The reason she pulled away, part of it was her, but part of it was the version of you that didn't hold its ground. The version that over-explained, over-texted, over-invested. The version that tried so hard to be enough, that it forgot it already was. That version didn't need to be punished. It needed to be outgrown. And that's what this is about. Not becoming someone new, becoming someone honest. Honest about what you want, honest about what you'll accept, honest about who you are when no one is watching and no one is validating you. That honesty, that raw, quiet, unshakable honesty, is the foundation of everything, of attraction, of respect, of love. Let me tell you what happens when a man reaches this point. He stops performing. He stops measuring himself against other men. He stops looking for reassurance in her eyes. He wakes up and his peace isn't conditional. His mood isn't dictated by a text. His confidence isn't attached to her interest. His identity isn't shaped by whether she stayed or left. He's just still. Not numb. Not cold. Not shut down. Still. Like a man standing in the middle of a storm who forgot to be afraid. That's the energy women feel. That's the presence that makes them pause. That's the gesture. Not a single act, but an ongoing state of being. A man who is grounded in himself. A man who doesn't flinch. A man who can sit with discomfort and not reach for distraction or validation. That man doesn't need techniques. He doesn't need lines. He doesn't need strategies. He just needs to walk into a room and be himself. And the right woman will feel it before he ever says a word. So here's what I want you to take from this. Stop trying to figure her out. Start figuring yourself out. Stop chasing clarity from someone who may not have it herself. Start building clarity within. Stop asking why she left. Start asking why you stayed so long in a place that made you small. Because the answer to every question about her lives inside of you. Not in her silence. Not in her mixed signals. Not in that last message she never replied to. In you. In the man you're becoming when no one's watching. And here's the truth, most men aren't ready to hear. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. If you are anxious, you'll attract avoidance. If you are unhealed, you'll attract chaos. If you are grounded, you'll attract depth. It's not magic. It's not fate. It's alignment. And alignment begins the moment you stop outsourcing your peace to another person and start building it, brick by brick, inside yourself. That is the manly gesture that melts any woman. Not a move, not a trick, not a line, a way of being, a man who holds space, holds frame, holds himself with calm, unwavering quiet strength. That man doesn't chase, he chooses. And the woman who recognizes that, she won't just be attracted, she'll be still too, right there beside him. If this sat with you differently than most things you've heard, that's not an accident. Something in you is ready to shift. If this channel helps you see clearly, subscribe. Not for content, for clarity. Hit the like button if this changed something in how you think. And leave a comment. Tell me where you are in this journey. But before you go, ask yourself one thing. Are you still trying to win her? Or are you finally choosing yourself? I'll see you in the next one.